Hi, welcome to the podcast. We don't even have a name for this podcast yet, but one of the things you'll be learning as you watch over the next few weeks or years or however long this goes for is that one of the most important things is just to get started. So, a bit of a background on what we're doing.
Don't cross your arms, it's bad.
Is it? Okay. I won't cross my arms then. Um,
Chris crosses
Oh dear.
and he crosses his
Okay.
arms again.
okay. Is this okay? What we're doing here is I'm starting a new business. Belinda's helping me. We've been friends for 20, 30 years. Before Christmas, I was my general line of work. Suddenly, November the 20th, I couldn't work anymore. They said, "Hang on, we want you to stop work." And for the last couple of months, I've not been able to do anything. So I've been thinking, I've had a great holiday over Christmas, but I decided, it's a pretty bad situation to be in where you've only got where you've got no income. So I thought to myself, when this happens next time, as I'm sure there'll be a next time. There's always a next time. I'll hopefully have a second income stream. So the purpose of what we're doing here is just to get started on setting up a second business, looking at developing some products.
Yeah, and I think the anyone who is in a job with a large company, feels job instability these days. It doesn't really seem to matter how long. I mean, Steve was with his company for 5 years, and yet just like that they decided to suspend him, with essentially no notice, which I personally am horrified by. Steve's a cool cucumber, so he didn't seem quite as upset by it as I was, but anyway, but then I'm the type of person that gets upset by these things. So,
there's pros and cons. It's meant I've had 2 months holiday over Christmas, which is not something I planned to do. I probably should have done. Not done for several years since COVID. So there have been positives to it, but yeah, it's always good to be in a position of strength and knowing what's coming.
Suspended without pay, I don't think is anything that anyone would ever say is a great thing.
Yeah.
Suddenly suspended without pay.
Well, yeah, I wasn't an employee, so it wasn't quite like that. But the
yes.
contract stopped paying. So yeah. Anyway, the point is that with adversity comes opportunity. I'm pretty fortunate. Over the last few years, I've built up a little bit of a war chest to protect against situations like this. But it also gives the opportunity of being able to get started with what we're going to do here, which is investigating and exploring some new product ideas that hopefully we can market. And over the course of these podcasts, what I want to do is share with everybody who's watching how to get a business started, and how to make it succeed. I'll run through some other time what I've done previously, but I've run businesses for the long haul for 10, 12 years. Was my previous business, so I know what it takes to get through a real going concern.
Yeah. And I think more and more people are interested in the idea, of working for themselves. I think because of the pitfalls of working for an external employer, and it seems like the larger the company it is that you work for, often the more volatile, and in fact, although you may get paid well, especially if you're a subcontractor, the instability of all of that stuff, so I guess the notion is this is going to be a podcast about how to create a passive stream of income. We will be sharing with you our ideas, but also our highs, lows, pitfalls, troubles, struggles, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be going up in real time as we go through the process of trying to get a new product to market.
Yeah.
And also, we are looking, for, viewers who hopefully will watch to give us feedback on the things that we are proposing to doing, so that we can, hopefully get the best possible product to market. Although we are wanting to do this in a fairly quick period of time, at least for the first product. So
I suppose through these podcasts I'll be sharing experiences I've had in previous businesses, and that's really what I want. I suppose the first takeaway that viewers can get. So for any of you out there that are thinking of setting up a business, the first thing is not to overthink it, not to plan for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. You need to get started. There's a lot of bad advice out there, and thinking that you need to get venture capital funding, you need to get everything perfect before you release because you've got to get it right. You don't want to upset your customers. But a lot of that's old thinking. I'm a big advocate of the lean startup approach, which is based upon Steve Blank and Eric Ries's thinking, which is just get out of the building. It's one of the big things that they talk about. Get started, talk to people, have a go. Don't be scared of failure. Don't be scared of perfection. And that is evidenced by this podcast. We only decided to do this yesterday
evening,
and it would have been so easy for us to have said, let's plan this and start in February. So today is what, January the 22nd, something like that, and we could easily have spent a month planning, trying to get everything perfect before the first one, and having uniforms and
uniforms.
We could have talked about what makeup should we have.
Could have had something in the background other than the whiteboard in our office.
We could have spent a whole week on the agenda or what we're going to talk about. But it's much better just to get started, and have a crack and learn and improve each time.
Because you never know until you give it a go.
Exactly. It's a big lesson. There's nothing like doing it, and that will come through in the products we're going to develop, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute. But the most important thing is just to get something out there, get feedback, or get ideas. Come up with an idea and put it out there to the world, which is what we're going to be doing through this podcast and through Kickstarter and other things. Getting feedback, and whether or not it succeeds or not is fine, as long as you're learning. This is one of the main things about Lean Startup, which is it's very much a scientific approach. Look at the data, work with the information you've got, but then improve. So it's a trial and error, but each time you're course correcting and getting closer and closer.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone's ever watched The Apprentice UK, very similar to a task that they do on there, but I won't go into that.
One of the other really important things, and I've made this mistake to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars with previous businesses, is not to think that you're smarter than everybody else. It's such a temptation to think, I've got an idea and the world will be better if I give the idea to the world. It's kind of like a push. It's actually a type of arrogance to think, I've got a great idea and I'm going to go and sell it and make millions or whatever from it. Much better way to do it is to everything's a working model. I've got an idea, but then the only decision, the only thing that matters ultimately is whether other people think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
does it have a market?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I think some of the most iconic things, you know, inventions of our time that have gone on to live from when we were kids right through till today. Like the Rubik's Cube, for example, is a great one. You know, like, I mean, that was invented by an architecture lecturer at a university to try and teach his students about you know, relationship between things in 3D capacity, you know, and then he went on over a very long period of time to eventually get a product to market, and though they're still around today, you know, they're still, I can't solve one, like not without peeling off the stickers, and now they don't even have stickers on them anymore. not that I rate myself so highly as to think that I could, but because I know it's a very complex mathematical task, and maths has never been my strong suit. But
yeah, so in previous times, I've you know, thought this is a great product. I've gone out there, great product concept. I've bought all the machinery. I've built a factory. I've put the machinery in, all based upon just the question. You know, I think this is a good idea. Went up to people and said, you know, I did a marketing degree. One of the things that they talk to you in marketing degree is doing market research. So, you know, do questionnaires. You know, if you were buying a hairbrush, you know, what colour do you think would be good? You know, rank these colours. You know, should it have long bristles or short bristles? You know, should it be, you know, made out of plastic or wood or whatever? All those questions. What I've discovered is that side of marketing is just absolute. Well, there's very, very little value in it. The best. This is something from Steve Blank. The best market research is asking somebody to buy it. Sign up. So a really good, you know, give us your credit card details and we'll ship it to you, even before you've got the product. That's the whole base of Kickstarter. But the point is that when you actually ask somebody to commit their own money, that's where all of the other things fall away. You know, if you go to your friends and say, I've got a great idea, you know, I've come up with a new mouse, and you see how shiny it is, it's wonderful. Your friends might say, look, that looks like any other one I can buy from a stationery shop. But because they're your friend, they go, oh yeah, that's great, Steve. You know, yeah, good on you. Yeah, that would be really good to have that. But people are you know, they're certainly not cruel to be kind. That they pad your ego and say, yeah, good on you for having a go. Absolutely. And they'll tell you things. And this has even happened in my previous business. You know, I went to customers and said, if I had this, you know, you're buying all this stuff off me. If I had this, would you buy it? Oh yeah, buy it. $300,000 in machinery later, and, you know, 18 months of planning. You turn up and you say, okay, I've made it, and they go, oh, maybe not this week. Yeah. Come back next week. And, you know, after 6 months, you go, holy smoke, you know, the sales are only 10% or 20% of what I expected, because if there's no commitment from the customer saying, I will buy this, then it just doesn't. And also without customers actually having the product, using the product, you don't get the vital feedback on user experience with the product. You know, and refinement of product, I think, is very important as well. Like, you know, I mean, very few people get things 100% right the first time with when they're taking products to market. So you know, having people out there who actually have your product, you know, and they're using it, and now they're able to say to you, look, this is wrong with it, that's wrong with it, you know, like that, you know, the handle is too uncomfortable, the handle's not long enough, or the mouse, you know, like, I mean, you know, I don't even use a mouse. I don't know why I bought it, but you know, maybe that's something we could design, the mouseless mouse or something. Well, isn't that called the trackpad? The trackpad. Trackball. Anyway, gestures. Well, okay, we're getting off track. So this iterative idea is really important. So, I mean, we both don't want to be selling junk. We don't want to just come up with an idea and just get it out there to market. No, we want to iterate. So, in the first stages, we'll come up with a concept. It might be a drawing. We'll iterate on that. Then we'll get to computer models. We'll iterate on that. We'll put it through a whole heap of you know, let's call them tests to see if we think you know, the idea is, you know, feasible, viable, all those kind of things. if it makes sense. We'll try and get it pretty as close as we can to good before we actually start making it. But then, when we do eventually make it, it'll be version 1. And we'll put that out to the world, and people hopefully will see value in that. But over time, there'll be a version 2 and a version 3, and it will get better and better.
And we're fully expecting, like, you know, that we're not going to just be able to hit a product and it just be the first product be the one that takes off necessarily either. So I think that when you are working in that space, like, you do need to like have we're going to have more misses than hits, but if we have one hit, then that's hopefully all that we're going to need, you know, and then we'll know that that's where we're going to throw all our money.
But I suspect if we do it right, we won't have burnt too much money.
Well, that's the other thing.
We might go through 5 or 10 things before we find something that people do like. And then we'll focus on that. But, you know, I suspect once we've done it, we'll say that's fun. Let's do another 10. And go for it like that.
Yes.
Okay. So what do I want to talk about?
Talk about your just briefly. You said you had a marketing degree.
Yeah. So my background, education, mechanical engineer, marketing. Studied at University WA here in Perth, Western Australia, which is where we are.
Yes, which is where we met.
Yeah, which is where we met. Then I worked in what was originally a family business. Worked with my parents running let's call it a hardware store, which morphed over time into more of a manufacturer. We started doing chemical impregnation of building materials against termites and rot and fire retardants and stuff like that.
I like the word impregnation.
Impregnation. Okay,
I would have just called it treating, but you know.
But
I like impregnation because
you
can't just be on the outside.
It was quite a fun business for a while there. We ended up part of it we ended up closing down. Part of it we sold to our biggest customer. Managed to come out of that pretty good. And then after that got into IT. So for the last 12 years I've been developing software products through different companies. Some of the world's biggest mining and oil and gas companies in particular. So on the software side of things, I'm also pretty strong. So I've got a kind of an engineering, physical, manufacturing background, which is kind of the first half of my career. Second half of my career has been all about software and AI and all that kind of thing. So with doing some pretty interesting projects in computer vision and IoT. So that's the Internet of Things, you know, micro devices out in mine sites and things. So. Yeah. Glenda.
Yes, and so I was also a student at UWA, same time as Steve. I studied a science degree in the end. I actually started out studying computer science, but I wasn't a very good programmer as it turned out, so I dropped out after second year and studied biological sciences instead. Went on to do my PhD and then worked for 10 years as a postdoctoral researcher. 7 years here in Australia, 2.5 approximately in the UK, and then I walked away from that career. I won't go on about it because I can talk about this for days, but when you work in medical research, you are funded through government sponsored grants. They are very competitive and hard to get. I was actually very successful at getting those grants, but it was extremely stressful.
Not the science.
Exactly. And I mean, I found myself like increasingly like spending my time writing funding applications, like, you know, and then also writing, you know, scholarly manuscripts, which you have to have in order to be able to get funding, because otherwise they won't think you can do the work. You know, I mean, and so like really, I just wasn't doing science anymore. You know, I was supervising students that were doing science, which was nice, but you know, anyway, so it was stressful, and I was over it, and so I walked away. And then I did not very much for quite a long time. I did have my own small business for a while doing smartphone repairs, and refurbishment. But that was a very, very small business.
You're still a bit of a techie though.
I've always been into computers. I mean, I've had one since I was 12 years old. But anyway, and now after I sort of hit the skids and was exposed to a few social welfare issues that made me very passionate about the idea of getting into the social welfare space. And so now I'm studying social work at university, and ultimately my goal is to have a, what was the word you used for it? Secondary income source? Secondary income stream, which I can use to put into a project that I have in mind, which is for essentially social work type. It's a novel idea. It's a novel idea in the social work space. Yeah, it's a novel idea in the social work space. So
hopefully, so what I'm hoping is that our past experiences will be able to bring it together and fuse them together and build on that to create some great products. And in the course of it, people who are watching, I want to help them understand how to get a business started, and I'll offer lots of tidbits over the coming episodes, but also for yourself. So
absolutely.
Hopefully you'll get a feel for it. So when you get you feel as if you've got a really good idea in that social space, then you can develop it and build
absolutely.
from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, do we want to talk a little bit about our ideas that we're throwing around at the moment?
No, I think we'll talk about that in episode 2. Because there's quite a few, and they're quite silly. Some of them.
I don't think that they're silly. Well, I mean, some of them are a bit
kind of embryonic.
Some of them are
the basic ideas.
They're embryonic.
They're embryonic. They need a lot of.
We brainstormed this last week, and we came up with a combination of sort of, not actual products that we but more like concepts to work with.
Yeah, so you mentioned that one that we had before.
Yeah, so one of the things that we are interested in doing is trying to develop something, preferably not an app, because apps are just very expensive to develop, something in order to address the issue of children being on their devices too much. Because every mother I know, and I'm not a mother myself, but all my friends are mothers.
I'm a father.
You're a father though. Every mother that I know is incredibly concerned about their children's use of devices. They don't know how to get them off their devices. They will literally, they say they're going to the toilet, and then they're sitting in the toilet on their devices.
And of course there's a massive amount of hypocrisy, because the parents are on the devices almost as much. That is a concern.
That is not and obviously that is not a product in and of itself. However, that is definitely a message that needs to be delivered, is if you want your kids off your devices, get off your own devices. Because children role model from their parents, right? So so we're very
interested. There's nothing to
interested.
sell there, Belinda. If we just tell people that they need to.
Well, I mean, but that's still not going to fix the entire problem, because look, this is just, as I said, this is just like a sort of space in which we're interested in trying to explore things. I mean, board games are an obvious one. There's a lot of people developing board games. That being said, there's a good market for board games, and child friendly board games. So that's definitely one. But we're interested to hear feedback anyway. If anyone out there just happens to have some idea, you're probably not going to want to tell it to us. You're probably going to want to run away and do it yourself.
Which you should. If you realise you'll never get around to it, then tell us. And we'll
absolutely.
We're committed.
That's
to this.
right. Yeah, exactly. We're committed to doing this, and we have the time, fortunately. Whereas you may well not. So
we'll have a crack.
And the beauty is that because we plan to use crowdfunding platforms to get our products to market.
To test them initially, yeah.
If you have an idea, you can come and buy into that, that campaign and it won't be expensive, and then you will get the first prototype essentially, and then you'll be able to be involved in the feedback process and all that kind of stuff.
If you're interested, you can keep in touch. We will run all the usual email lists and things so you can find out the latest developments. If this worked perfectly, what I'd love is to we'll go through the list of product ideas. We'll rank them and see what we think will work. I mean, someone can guess whatever we do, but if it worked perfectly, we'd find something that's a product niche idea that you can't get anywhere else, which is great from a marketing perspective because there's too many drop shippers who are all offering the same thing. We want to actually develop some things that you can't get anywhere else. Not exactly the same. I'm sure you get something similar. There's millions of things out there, but.
Yes, I think. I mean, my perspective is that we're more likely to have success if we work on something you can already get, but a better version thereof. So along the lines of what Dyson has done.
Yeah, and maybe build on that. So I'd love it if we at some point find something that's people like. But then we can round it out. We can make more complementary products that go with it, addressing the same issue. So just off the top of my head with that, people's devices issue. We could start out with a home safe where people can literally lock away the devices. Parents got a key that's maybe like mine. It's got attached to your body, so the parent has always got the key. So something like that, which is very simple, physical thing, but you could evolve that into tracking devices. Where is the device to make sure that you know where it is, or you could have things like they
kind of already exist.
Well, I'm sure they do. That all these things exist, but in a kind of harmonious way. That works really well across any device. Maybe an app that allows you to find out exactly what people are looking at on the different devices, so works across iOS and Android and PCs and everything, so you can see what's being consumed in your house irrespective of what it is. What I'm saying is it'd be great. I'd love it if through this journey we kind of find a niche that is many things that layer and offer a capability, which is ultimately all about reducing kids' screen time. Or finding alternatives. It could be just finding alternatives.
I think it's both. I think it should be both.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to lock your kids' devices away in a cage and say, okay, you can only access them 1 hour of a day. But but how much better is it when you just get them to put them down themselves and voluntarily come and do something different, So and there aren't that many things out there to do with your kids, even if you have money, and if you're budget poor, there's even less. And if they're, and a lot of them are fun for the kids but not fun for the parents, or vice versa.
It is one really good thing about this idea is we've got a list of roughly 10 things. Most of the other things are product ideas. It'd be good if this existed, but it's like a product push thinking. One of the really good things. So, as I said before, I've got a marketing degree. I did an MBA a couple of years back and was top of my class. So I mean, in theory, I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about marketing. And I ran my own business and marketed that for a long time as well. But one of the things they teach you is don't focus on the product, focus on the benefit. So you think of you try and uncover the need, What do people need? They
Absolutely.
need the kids to be more engaged with reality in real life.
Yeah.
That's the underlying problem. What products or services or things could come to, or just knowledge products.
Yeah, or just knowledge. Yeah,
skills.
I mean, for that matter. Yeah,
I mean, there's tons of money to be made in you know, courses and all that stuff on, you know, how to better look after your kids. So it's thinking of the problem and then bringing the solution to it rather than trying to think, you know, at the moment everything's like AI. It's like, you know, AI plus something, there's a business. It's like, no, it's not. What are the problems out there?
Yeah, well, no disrespect to OpenAI, but there are enough problems with ChatGPT, like that I dare say that it should never be a part of a potential thing as it currently stands, at least. Yeah. I mean, but the concepts behind AI, you know, large language models, you know, I mean, I would love to build a better talk to text engine. I mean, because I find that the one on my device, and Google's talk to text engine is just not very good, at least not for my accent. And you know, and maybe that is an accent thing. I have tried talking to it in the best American accent that I can do, but sometimes it sort of helps a little bit. Yeah. But sometimes it just doesn't understand me.
Right. Okay. So that's the end of the first podcast. So
we're keeping these short and sweet. Yeah. Because we figure people are time poor.
Yeah. Going to try and keep them 30 minutes, which is just about where we're at. Maybe just a tad over. But yeah, we'll see you in episode 2.
Episode 2.
We'll start talking about some of the product ideas we've got.
And before we go, just facing the other direction, Steve. I would like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people, who are the traditional custodians of the land that we live on, that we work on, that all of Perth, Western Australia is on, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Okay. Thank you. We'll finish there.